everyone, it's Lickety Split here. Today we're back in the Warhammer the Old World, doing a kit for the army of Grand Cathay, Jade Lancers. Today mostly I'm going to be focusing my demonstrations on the unit champion. But when things differ, like the musician and his drums, or the standard bearer and a standard, I'll bring those guys in. Now we'll go ahead and move these rests aside so we can demonstrate the techniques on the champion and get that going. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Not too much. There we go. There. Now the first thing we're going to work on today is going to be the boots. The leather straps, and the grips for the blades. And that color we're going to be starting with today is Black Legion. Go ahead and just get in there and do it nice and smooth. Take your time. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up on all these guys and we'll be right back. Alright, now that we get all that done, we're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to work on the horses a bit. I'm going to do, in this unit, I'll end up doing 3 different variants. And I'll go through each one with you as I do them. First variant we're going to do is going to be a mixture. 4 to 1, 4 parts Gore Gurnta Fur to 1 part contrast, just to kind of thin it down a little bit. We'll go ahead and spread it out. Get it all in there, just to make it a little lighter, flow a little better. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and we'll be back. Okay, now we'll begin our second variant for the horses. And this one is going to start with some Cygor Brown. You want to get it on there nice and smooth. Don't worry about getting it on the hooves. Because we're going to do those darker color later. Okay, I'm going to finish this up and we'll be right back. Right now that one's done, we're going to go ahead and move on to our third variant for the horses. And this variant, number 3, is going to start with a mixture of 4 parts Seraphim Sepia to 1 part Agrax Earthshade. So we'll just go ahead and spread it all over. and spread it out. Put it around the deep pools. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this one up, and we'll be right back. Now we're back for step 2 for variant 1. This is the one where we do the Gore Gurnta Fur and contrast mix. So the next step is going to be Seraphim Sepia. It'll help shade it, give some detail, and give some nice color to it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish these up. Okay, now we all got all that Seraphim Sepia applied on variant 1 for our horses. We're going to move to the second variant. This is the one we use Cygor Brown. What we're going to do is we're going to take Iyanden Fleshade and we're going to put it on the skin. We're not going to put it on the hair. So I'll kind of darken it up, a nice tone. We'll be doing something different with the hair later. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Be right back. Okay, now we got that Iyanden Fleshade on variant number 2 for our horses. We're going to move on to variant number 3. And what we're going to do is put some just straight Seraphim Sepia just over the skin. And not the hair again. We'll do something different with that later. Okay, I'll go ahead and finish this up and be right back. All right, now we're back to variant 1. For our horses. What we're going to go ahead and do right now is use some Deathclaw Brown and give a nice little highlight to just the flesh, the skin, and the tail, not the socks. We'll do something different for the area around the feet, for the lack of a better term, the socks. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, now we got all the Deathclaw Brown applied. We're going to go ahead and go on to the next step. Not quite the last step, but what we're going to do on the socks, we're going to add a little bit of Screaming Skull. Just kind of edge it, bring it out a bit. Not a ton. All right, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and finish up the other one. Now we're going to go on to our second variant that we put Cygor Brown and Iyanden Fleshade on already. And the next color we're going to use is going to be some Blood Reaver Flesh. And the Blood Reaver Flesh, we're just going to apply it to the skins, not to the hair on the leg or the tails. We got something else for that later. So, just basically trying to get the raised portions, so we're going over a little lightly. Just catching the raised portion, we'll build that up. Don't do too much. Trying to add some depth to it by bringing out the higher areas. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. And when that's done, we're going to move on to the next step in our third variant, the Cygor Brown face. And the next color we're going to use is Eshin Gray. And we're going to use this to highlight the tail and the socks and the fur on the legs. A little bit more on there. There we go. Just going lightly, trying to catch the edges. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and we'll be right back. Okay, now that's done, we're going to go ahead and move on to our third variant. And next color we'll be going to be using on this one is Screaming Skull. And we're going to be giving a good little dry brush of it to bring it all. It's a little much on there. So we can bring up nice the ridges and the highlights and really accentuate that. Give a nice color to the horse. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and be ready. Next step I got to do is one of these little horses got his mouth open, so got to color it in. So I'm going to use a little volupus paint to get in there. I'm going to go ahead and go over the gums and the teeth, and we'll come back and pick out the teeth later. Alright, that's it. Next step on the horses, and this will go across all of them, at least the ones we did in the color schemes I did, is we're going to use some Black Legion. And we're going to go ahead and paint all the hooves in that color. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and then do the rest of the horses, because I'm going to do all of their, no matter what the variant is, color scheme, because none of them were, they were all lighter color basically. I'm going to do them all the hooves in Black Legion. I'll be back. Now if that's done, we're going to move on to our next color. And our next color is Gore Gurnta Fur. And we're going to be doing all of the leather trim in it. So these all the stuff around here, trim on the figure, gorge it, things like that. And it's okay if we go a little bit into here, because we're going to be doing that in metallic, so it'll just get covered right up. And this step, when we do that, we have to go in and clean it up later. Alrighty. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and we'll be right back. Alright, now that step's done, we're going to move on to our next color. The next color is going to be some Gray Knight Steel. And we're going to use this to color paint all the armor. with the plate armor and the scale mail. And that would include the up on the horse's face. Of course, the scale mail in here. Just gotta make sure it's thinned a bit so it'll flow nice and get in the nooks and crannies and cracks and crevices. And just keep continuing. As you can see, got a little bit of the Gore Gurnta Fur got over, so you can go ahead and it'll cover that right up with the metallics. All right, I'm going to finish this up. Now that that's done, we're going to move on to our next color. Our next color is Blood Angels Red. And we're going to use this for the underclothing, for the clothing underneath the armor of the horses and underneath what the people are wearing. So that's here, 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 and then of course don't forget the arms under here. All right, I'll get that done. Okay, now that's done, we're going to move on to the next color. And the next color is going to be some Cygor Brown. Cygor Brown goes in a few places. Okay, it'll go here in this part underneath the saddle here. We'll do the saddle horn, of course. The saddle horn in the back. It'll also go on the body of the drum, the drumsticks, the shafts of the weapon, and the banner pole on the standard bearer. So go ahead and get a little bit on there. And just move it on, get it around. Take your time. Just do one section at a time like this. We'll go ahead and finish this up and be right back. Now that that's done, we're going to move on to the next color. Next color is going to be Skeleton Horde. Skeleton Horde is going to go right here. It's going to go on the skin of the drums. So this drum and that drum. Again, you know, take your time, kind of get it in there, but don't have to do too much. All right, I'll finish this up and be right back. Okay, now that's all done. Next color we're going to be doing is going to be Iyanden Yellow. Iyanden Yellow is going to go on the plumes, it's going to go on the sash, it's going to go on this part of the saddle, it's going to go on these tassels. So you got quite a bit to do. So this is going to take a little bit of time. And of course we got the whole unit to do, so you'll probably be tired of painting yellow for a little bit once you get done with this. But just keep at it. Keep going methodically. And you'll be fine. If you want to break up the unit, you know, not do all of them all at once, it's fine too. It's a way to break up your workload and keep the enthusiasm going, because once it gets to be a grind, it gets to be really dried and yellow there. Gets to be a grind. You kind of, that's kind of when I will put things down, because I want it to be fun. This is you know, your hobby. It's a way to do things for fun. Whoops. There we go, get that little bit out of there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and spend a bit of time finishing this all up from all of them, and I will be back. All right, now that we got all that done, we're going to move on to our next color. Next color is going to be some Snakebite Leather. And we are going to use the Snakebite Leather to color in the ropes. Now, these ropes are actually pretty much exclusively located on the musician. So this step will go rather quick. All right, I'll go ahead and finish this up. Okay, with that step done, we're going to move on to our next one. Our next color is going to be some Iron Hand Steel. And we're going to use this on the blades. We're going to use this on some of the buckles. And we're also going to use it on some of the ornamentation, like on the bottom of the scabbard. And some of the ornamentation on the sword here. Okay, I'm going to get this done and be right back. Okay, now we'll move on to our next color. Our next color is going to be some Darkoath Flesh. And we're going to use this to color in all the exposed skin. Which in these guys isn't much. It's going to be your hands, their faces here. And that's as far as she went. Alright, I'll get on this and do this for the unit. I'll be right back. Okay, now that color is done, we're going to move on to our next one. Our next color is going to be some Retributor Armor. And we're going to do this for the remaining metallic details, which will be the ornamentation on the weapons, the ornamentation here on the bridle, and of course any ornamentation on their swords. And we'll also be doing parts of the helmet. I'm sure you can see this, and some of the adornments on the helmet. I'm going to make it pop out a little bit. We'll be leaving this little part right here on all the helmets because that's the gem, and we'll be doing that later. All right, there we go. Let's see. There, let's go over here. Oh, okay, good. You can see that. Not much point in a painting demonstration video if I do it off camera, is there? Okay. You just want to make sure your paint is thin enough so that it flows nice and goes in the into the details, but doesn't obscure the details. Put it on too thick, it'll obscure the details, and that's not what we want. Sometimes if it does, you can just spend a little time pulling it out with a brush. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this done, and we'll be right back. Okay, now we're moving on to our next step. And our next step is to apply some Berserker Bloodshade to all of our areas that we painted in the Blood Angels red earlier. Just take your time and get it out there. If it pulls up a little bit like that, you know, go ahead and use the brush and move it around. Just be careful. I'm going to go ahead and finish this step up. The rest of the figures and do that. Alright, with that Berserker Bloodshade applied, now we're going to move on to our next color. And the next color is some Casandora Yellow. And we're going to apply this all over the places where we put the Iyanden Yellow before. It's a nice shade paint, and we'll get in there, it'll enrich the color, make it look nice. Provide some extra depth. Just give it a good old nice tone to it. There's a bit to do, so it's probably going to take you a little bit of time. Got a little much on the brush there. So just take your time. And go easy. Don't go too fast because you may make mistakes. I'm going to go ahead and finish these up and be back with the next. Okay. Now that step's done, we're going to move on to the next one. And the next step is going to be using a mixture of 5 parts Lahmian to 1 part Black Templar. And we're going to use this to shade all of our armor bits. Both the flat part and the scale mail. There. Because we diluted, it's going to run into the crevices a little bit. Don't really darken the plate part. This is what we want. To run into the crevices, the cracks, and give a little bit of depth to it without completely taking over and not taking away too much of the shine. So this does not include the blades. We're going to do the blades differently. This is only the areas that you applied the Grey Knight Steel to before. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and we'll be right back. Now if that's all done, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next step. And our next step is going to be apply some Nuln Oil. And we're going to apply this all over the blades. Okay, and we're also, after applying it on blades, we're going to apply it any place that we did the black before, because it helps really darken it up and make it a nice rich black. Okay, like that. And you know, like the straps here, around the tail. I'll go ahead and finish this up and be right back. One thing I forgot to mention about the Nuln Oil is we're going to be placing where there are cords, like the ones we did around the sword, and of course on our gorget, these little snips here. So those are the other places that we'll be placing it. Okay, all right, now that that's done, we're going to move on to our next step. The next step, we're going to be shading all of our remaining metallic details, and for this we're going to use some Agrax Earthshade. I'm just going to be spreading it all over our gold details, so to really get in nooks and crannies. And provide a nice color for it. Okie doke. I am going to go ahead and finish this up and we'll be right back. Alright, now with that step done, we're going to move on to the next one. Our next one is going to be start working on the eyes, and we're going to start with some Black Legion. I'm going to use some Black Legion to color in the eye socket, whole eye socket. Pull it towards me, gives me more control. All right, I'll go ahead and finish the rest of the unit. All right, with that step done, we're going to move on to our next one. The next one, we're going to be using some Stormhost Silver to do the first step on our gems. We got 2 gems on these guys. We got one on the belt and one up here on the forehead. Go ahead and paint the gem and the little sconce around it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of the unit and be right back. Alright, now we're on to our next color. And our next color is going to be Dawnstone. And we are going to use this to highlight our black areas, like the boots, the belts, and the straps. Like the bridles. Anything we painted with Black Legion and Nuln Oil. All right, I'm going to finish this up. Dawnstone applied. We're going to move on to our next color. And our next color is going to be some Flash Gitz Yellow. And we are going to use this to highlight all of our yellow parts. So anything we've done in Iyanden Yellow and followed up with Casandora Yellow, that's where the Flash Gitz Yellow is going to go. And here I'm just edge highlighting just to bring out the ridges and the high points. And all the yellow. Let's see. I'm just trying to do it edge. Just get the edges. Light dry brush over like stuff like the tassel to catch the raised edges. Alright, I'm going to finish this up with all that Flash Gitz Yellow applied. We're going to be moving on to our next color. And our next color will be Evil Sunz Scarlet. What we're going to do with this is we're going to highlight all of our red areas. Just going to go with a lot of edge highlighting. There's some flat areas. Just going to have to depend. I'm going to go ahead and work on this, and we'll be right back. All right, now that that's all done, we're going to move on to our next color. Our next color is going to be some Karak Stone, and we're going to highlight all the Gore Gurnta Fur. And let's just move this a little much. We're just going to be, take some off there. We're just going to be doing some edge highlighting with this one. Just trying to get a little bit in there. Nothing much. Alright, I'm going to finish this up and be right back. Alright, now on to our next color. And our next color is going to be some thinned down Jadeite steel. And we're going to use it to relayer and add some highlights to all of the plate and scale armor. So let's be getting in around. Just kind of getting in there and getting a little bit extra on the scales, since we did dull it down a little bit with the Lahmian and Black Templar mix. And we also did do that on the armor plates as well. So it'll kind of help clean up the process we went through to get the yellow done. All right, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and everything and get right back to you. Now we're on to our next color, and our next color is going to be some Iron Hand Steel. And with this, we're going to redo the blades. Give them some highlights. And touch up on some of the cutting edges. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and be right back. On to the next color, and the next color is going to be some Liberator Gold. And we're going to use this to highlight all of the Retributor Armor we put down. I'm just going to try to do a light dry brush just to bring out the edges. Give us some nice depth. Just stuff like this. Let's see, there we go. This really nice detailed shoulder pad that this champion has on. And maybe concentrate a little bit more on that face. Just get more of the highlight, build it up there a little more. And catch some other spots, and got some other little things going on, and I'm going to go ahead and finish this up on this unit, and we'll be right back. Alright, next color we're going to be doing is some Screaming Skull. Right now we're going to be painting this into the eyes that we had done in Black Legion earlier. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and finish these up and we'll be back. Alright, now we're going to move on to the next color. The next color is going to be some more Black Legion. What we're going to do is we're going to try to color inside, paint the Black Legion inside that Screaming Skull we just put down, and leave a little bit on the outside of it. So what I'm trying to do is basically paint in the Black Legion. Alright, kind of fill in the eye socket. Then I'm going to take the Screaming Skull and I'm going to go in the middle, try to do it like this. Let's see. And this, I'm going to try to go in and basically do the center. That's what I'm trying to do. Now that we've got the eyes done, we're going to move on to our next step, and we're going to go ahead and paint our gems. And the color we're going to use for this is going to be some Waystone Green technical paint. And we're going to go ahead and paint the gems. There we go. And previously we had painted with some Stormhost Silver. And that's for this paint you need to do the Stormhost Silver first. And so these guys have got gems here. Some of them have gems on their foreheads, and they also have gems at the belt buckle. So go ahead and get those in there, and I'll finish up the rest of it. Okay, the next color we're going to do is going to be some Corax White. And the Corax White is going to be for the stitching on the gorget. Let me see. So just a couple little things on each one, and you're done. All right. I'll be back. Alright, now that we got that done, we're going to move on to the next color. And the next color is going to be some Iyanden Yellow. What we're going to do is paint this outer trim here in the yellow. And then the main field will be in the red. So let's go around nice and easy. And again, we don't really mind if it goes over the edge, because this edge I'm going to paint in metallic, so that'll just cover that right up. Alright, I'm going to finish up the rest of these shields and be back. Okay, the Iyanden Yellow all applied. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next area, and the next area is going to be the center of the shield patterns, and we're going to start out with some Blood Angels Red, just like we did with the rest of it. And we'll just be careful going around the edge. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of these. Right, now that's done, we're going to move on to the next color. The next color is going to be some Casandora Yellow. And we're just going to go over the yellow to kind of darken it up a little bit and give it a nice tone. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and be right back. Okay, now we're going to move on to our next color, and our next color is going to be some Berserker Bloodshade. And we're going to use this on the red, just like we've done earlier in the figure. Just to get it in there, help darken it up. Alright, I will be finishing them all up. Now we're going to move on to our next color. And we're going to be doing the edges of the shield, or the trim. So we're going to be using some Iron Hand steel. And just be careful not to get it in the yellow. Go around the edges. Alrighty. If you do get a little bit in, you can go back in there with some gray Seer, and then redo the Iyanden Yellow and the Casandora Yellow. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and finish these up and be right back. Alright, now we're going to move on to our next color, and our next color is going to be some Nuln Oil, and I'm going to use that to shade the Iron Hand steel that I did around the edges. Just try to keep it on the edge, try not to get it into the yellow as much as you can. Alright, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and finish them all up. The next color we're going to be moving on to is some Flash Gitz Yellow. And I'm just going to be putting a little bit in between. I don't like to, just a little bit of highlights here and there, spot. Just around, like so. And that's about as far as it goes. And I'll go ahead and finish these up and be right back. Alright, now we're going to move on to the next color. The next color is going to be some Evil Sunz Scarlet. I'm going to use this to obviously highlight the red areas. A little more. Just going to go down the middle of each of these patterns. Like I've said before, you're much more accurate. At least I am much more accurate. Some of the strokes, if I'm pulling towards myself, so I try to do the bulk of it. Or not going to the side like this because I'm not quite as accurate, but I'm pulling the brush towards myself. Oops. Like that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these and be right back. Okay, now we're on the next step, and the next step is doing the highlight with the Iron Hand steel. What I'm going to do is going to get that a little bit in between each of the rivets. Around the edges too, just kind of edge highlight it. There we go. And then get in between edge, get in between edge, get in between. Not much. Alright, I'm going to finish them up. Okay, one thing to mention real quick. I listed Vallejo gloss varnish as one of the paints I used. What I do with this after I varnish it with Tester's Dull Coat is I put this on some of the gems or anything else I really want to pop and shine afterwards. It does a real good job and it's real easy. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe as it really helps the channel out. I try to focus on techniques that give you the most bang for your buck. It may not win you a golden demon, but it'll look good and we'll get you on the tabletop with a fully painted army, lickety split. See you in the next one.